Boogie, drop that beat.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Talking Out Loud with Miss Talkative. Everything I say is my own opinion, alleged, and strictly entertainment purposes. Remember, I'm just talking out loud. Please like, share, subscribe. Comment on the video, let me know what you think. Now, Marsau, I don't know what he was thinking. I really don't. Now, I watched part 1 and part 2 of the Zen Gardens vs. Marsau Scope LLC deposition from trending at some point. And if I must say, Marsau must be a dang fool to take this company or any other company to court over some work where he knowingly misrepresented his company and never completed the work. To me, in my opinion, it's clearly alleged that the Scotts are frauds and scammers because from Marsau's deposition, he overstated and underdelivered the workers of Scope and himself to Zen Gardens, in my opinion, in hopes of cutting costs to pocket the excess savings. Marsau, in my opinion, he copied other companies' profiles and resumes of other workers outside of Scope to suit the needs of the needs of his company and his workers, who he were his invisible workers, to win the bid of Zen Garden. And Marsau and his family, allegedly, in my opinion, I believe they are nothing more than a Ponzi scheme, frauds and scammers, because it seems like they are keeping their family in whatever business dealings that they have going on, because from the sister mentioned in the deposition, she allegedly worked at Credit One with Marsau, if I'm not mistaken. And the brother that's mentioned in the brother Micah that's mentioned in the deposition, he works with Maurice and Kimmy at their closing agency that they're supposed to be running. So how is it that they're able to, what exactly are their backgrounds? Marsau, he had his uncle from Texas working remote on the construction site, for the construction site, because he never made it to the construction site. Marsau said he came in maybe once a month or something like that, but Zen Garden said that they never seen him there. And Marsau couldn't produce any receipts of him bringing his uncle to Huntsville. There's right now in the deposition, Marsau didn't provide any receipts of his uncle's travel to Huntsville by way of getting him an apartment, getting him a hotel stay, nothing. So right now there's no footprint or receipts that his uncle was actually in town. And because of it was the time of the C-19 going on, Zen Garden knew in the beginning that his uncle was not on site, but because of what was going on at the time, they okayed it until they realized that Huntsville was not really affected by the C-19. So they started questioning Marsau more and more, like, okay, where's he at? Where's he at? And then when Marsau, I guess he ran out of excuses to tell Zen Gardens of why his uncle was not on site, he told Zen Gardens that his uncle did not work there anymore. So Zen Gardens gave him time to actually bring on another project manager or whatever position his uncle was supposed to hold. And eventually Zen Gardens had to bring in their own people because Marsau is they realized Marsau is playing games with them. So they brought in their own people to get the project moving. And like I say, I believe that greed is what got Marsau in this trouble, because he knew what he stood to make on Zen Garden, on the Zen Gardens project. And even though he knew that he had unfinished work in his mind, because the Zen Garden had to, go ahead on and complete the work, that Marsau thought, okay, well, they didn't come after me, so I know I still, I can go after them. He probably waited a while, in my opinion. And once he seen that Zen Garden wasn't coming after him with lawsuits or anything and trying to sue him, he decided to go after them. He thought he could, back them up against the wall, and probably Zen Garden would pay him just to get rid of him. So, but Marsau, he underestimated Zen Garden. He thought that Zen Gardens probably just wanted to get rid of him or something, and wouldn't, but he didn't realize that Zen Garden is not the other companies or other places that he had been defrauding or, scheming, in my opinion, allegedly. He probably thought that he could back them into a corner and they would actually pay him out. And which probably Zen Garden, they probably would have just left him alone, because they probably just wanted to break ties. They were just happy to break ties with him and just forget about the whole thing. Zen Garden then moved on, got all new contractors, had the work done, and they were and broke ties with Marsau. But because Marsau is so arrogant and cocky, he thinks that, he's a celebrity, and he thinks that he's entitled. And which, in my opinion, which is going to be the very cause of his downfall. Marsau, he didn't think about Zen Gardens having, their own documents and team of lawyers that would provide them, a chance to fight back. He thought because, and probably they thought that Marsau got the audacity to come after us after costing them probably millions on top of the original bid that they had both agreed upon. So they probably pushed back, and now they're requesting Scope, Marsau, whomever, to pay for all of the damages that they caused with the delays of the milestones, because they were supposed to be having different milestones for different segments of the project to be completed. And because every milestone was delayed because of Marsau, they had to bring in extra help. They had to repave the road, even and Marsau didn't he didn't do anything. Basically, he really cost them more. They were supposed to have been saving money by going with Scopes Industry or LLC, but it actually, in my opinion, cost them way more, because there was an accident that happened because of the way Marsau company or whomever his contractors had paved the road. It caused an accident. So I'm quite sure, in my opinion, that there was a lawsuit there of some sort. And they had to tear down the first building that Marsau, that was built up. They had to tear it down because it was 14 inches too short. Later on, somewhere in the deposition, they asked Marsau about that, and they was like, "Is it true that it was 14 inches?" Marsau said, "No, it was 36 inches." I'm like, you just really put your foot in your mouth. But anyway, they had to pay for the rebuild. They had to have the building tore all the way down to have it rebuilt, the repavement of the road, and plus Zen Gardens had to start paying the subcontractors directly because they the workers had put a lien on Zen Garden because they were not getting paid anymore. Even though the money was going out to Marsau and he was supposed to use that money to pay the workers, and Marsau was not paying the workers at all. So Zen Garden had to directly pay the workers, but that's supposed to have been the general contractor Marsau responsibility, and it wasn't getting done. So, in my opinion, it's clear that Marsau still thinks that he is able to outsmart Zen Gardens by the way he's answering these questions, or should I say, not answering the questions in full. And he think he can outsmart Zen Garden and the attorney that's asking him these questions in his deposition because he's acting like he can't recall certain things. He can't recall, he don't remember or don't know where his business partners are. He don't know where his workers are. He don't realize that this stuff is easily to be found out. So, I mean, there's a trace somewhere. If these people got a paycheck from Scope or Zen Gardens, they can be tracked down. So I don't even know why Marsau just don't save himself the trouble. And he can't remember what anybody's title is, what anybody's background is. And he just talks in circle. Basically, just Marsau is being Marsau, the biggest asshole ever on the stands. And he still thinks that he's the smartest person in the room. If you listen to this deposition, because he can't, I mean, every question he's asked, he is, oh, I can't recall, I don't know. Now, he did admit to Letitia being 85% owner and him being 15% owner of Scope LLC. However, he still neglected, or he don't know what Letitia background is, if she's ever done any family dwellings or anything. He acts like he doesn't know. This your wife, you married to her. You don't know what's going on with her? So, like I say, I believe, in my opinion, that Marsau still thinks that he's the smartest person in the room, and by him not answering the questions, that he's not incriminating himself, but it actually makes him look like he is uneducated, unprepared, and he is willfully withholding the information. And I hope, I know there was a I think it was trending at some point. That I heard a couple of I believe it was last week, where it was stated that there were negotiations on the table for a settlement, possibly, that, you know, they thought that they would be able to work things out. And then 2 hours later, yes, that was trending at some point, 2 hours later, that Zen Gardens came back and was like, nope, we misunderstood. Marsau misrepresented himself again. We're not on the same table. And they reinstated the lawsuit. They wanted to move forward with the judgment. So I hope that Zen Garden really do not settle with the Scotts and allow them to be exposed for the true scammers, true frauds, and everything that they continue to do to people. Because what they did to Joy, what they did to the barber, in my opinion, it shouldn't have never happened. Because if they had all of this going on, apartment buildings and flipping houses and all of these companies, what was the reason to be the scammers? In my opinion, that's how they came about all of this, about all of these companies, is by scamming and frauding people, whatever. And they're so used to it. And that's why I believe that Marsau used the same tactic with Zen Gardens that tried to use with Mr. Scott, the man that owned that house, that Marsau took him to court 10 years later, or they winded up in court 10 years later because Marsau started harassing him about a house that he clearly owned for 10 years, paid the taxes up, and he wasn't the first owner. He was the second or third owner. After Marsau lost the house to taxes, this man paid up all the taxes, had it renovated. He said he had to take that house down to the studs, have it rebuilt. And now, after 10 years, here come Marsau trying to harass him, talking about that's his house. And I believe that Marsau tried to use the same tactics with Mr. Smith with Zen Gardens. And both of them are crashing down on him. He know he's not entitled to the house. And I hope that Zen Gardens do not have to pay Marsau or the SCO Industry or SCO LLC anything. And I say that because there was a clause in there that they can't, come after each other for, I believe it was charges or, anything. They can't. It's something to the fact of not being able to sue each other. But as the representative from Zen Garden stated, Marsau misrepresented himself and his company, so he feels as though that's his loophole. Marsau attorney feels as though his loophole for them winning the case is that statement that they put in there about I believe it's about suing each other. I'm going to say allegedly because I can't remember exactly what it says word from word, but it's something to the fact of, they can't sue each other or go after each other or whatever. And I believe that with Marsau misrepresenting his company, his workers, I believe that Zen Garden really got them by a chokehold, and I hope that they continue to keep they foot on Marsau's neck and do not let up. Because if Marsau look at this deposition and play it back for himself, he know he messed up so many times. Anybody can see this. A child can see that Marsau messed up in this deposition, and I hope that everything that Marsau said is used against him in this judgment. And that's just my opinion. I'm just talking out loud. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on the video. Let me know what you think.